Because if you buy that cheapest mattress, I promise you, it will be the most expensive mattress that you ever purchased. Why? Welcome back to the Healthy Sleep Podcast by Mattress Grove. We're John and David. We're brothers. We're owners of Mattress Grove, where we make mattresses right here in Greensboro, North Carolina. And this podcast is all about keeping it real, talking about what actually goes into a mattress. So today we're taking you behind the scenes, pulling back the curtain to show you how a truly a great mattress is produced and what actually goes into these great mattresses. Because after 50 years in the mattress business, we've seen a lot of big box, big brands cut corners, and we want to show you how they do this. Not to scare you, but just to educate you so you can make better, smarter buying decisions and ask better questions. You know, customers do come in and they talk about cost. And when they're only talking about cost, the value of the product has not been explained. It's kind of like Mercedes. You know, you sit in a Mercedes, you feel the luxury, you look around, you see the details that were put into it. You know that car's going to last a long time, and it has a reputation for lasting a long time. And so that's where mattresses are, and that's the hard part about it is that there's a lot of big box stores that present products that, you know, they say all mattresses are the same. They're not. They're really not. And we can break down all of those details, and will today, what makes them different. Yeah, you know, when you hear padded rectangle, I think about like a big box store. There's a lot of padded rectangles in there. Right. You know, that's not what people need for a better night's sleep and to have a better day. And you know, one of the misconceptions that we hear often is, you know, consumers will, rightfully so. I mean, you know, talk about coil count. You know, you mentioned coils. You know, and you know, one thing that I would say, because we, as technology has evolved, there's thick wire. They call it gauge. You know, you may have wire as thick as, you know, for example, your pinky or your thumb. I mean, so is it better to have more coils with thinner wire? Is it better to have more or less coils with thicker wire? Right. And again, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that. Coil, you know, what it's made out of, steel, the pitch of how the coil's made. I mean, there's so much technology now. Whereas back, you know, 40 years ago when we got in the business, there was really only maybe a handful at most. You know, coil systems out there, so there wasn't as many now, and they weren't coming from overseas and everywhere else. But that's one thing that you know, I think is a misconception. That people, you know, will come in and buy. I've heard these crazy things that retailers will say. You know, big boxes will say, well, you know, you should spend $1 a coil. Well, that's kind of ridiculous because it all depends on the coil. I mean, you know, we've seen and we have, you know, 600 coil mattresses that are much better than 2,000 coil mattresses. Absolutely. You know, so I think that's, you know, that's one of the misconceptions. Warranty is another one. Warranty is another big one. Yeah. Absolutely. Because I mean, again, you know, a good reputable company is going to take care of the product no matter what, and you're not going to have to worry about it. But you know, the warranties, there's, you know, it goes from 10 years to 20 years on up to, I think there's lifetime warranties out there now. Lifetime. And who's lifetime? Who's lifetime? And exactly. Then they're not going to, I mean, the company's lifetime, because the company's probably going to be out of business. Most of those companies have only been in business for a couple of years. So, you know, talking about the misconceptions, you know, of coils and warranty, and there's other ones out there. Those are kind of the two of the ones that we hear a lot. Is, you know, one thing that I wish shoppers knew going into, you know, a big box store, or going into any store or online, because you really can't tell as much online, especially with AI. But, you know, that just because a mattress is thick doesn't mean that it's going to give you a great night's sleep. You know, thicker doesn't always mean better. Right. I mean, there's, you know, there are mattresses that are much thinner with a lot better quality components in it that will give you a much better night's sleep. Right. But we've been conditioned, you know, to say, well, thicker's better. You know, I'm getting more for my money. I'm getting better, but that's another misconception, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the other pieces that would help consumers ask a question is ask where the mattress was manufactured.
Yeah.
It's on the law tag. It'll tell you so they can verify it. It's something that it can build confidence whether the sales associate really knows what they're talking about. Because again, it's U.S. based products that are sourced in the U.S. is what we focus on because we know the quality is there. We know that who's making it. So you don't have any questions about the quality and the longevity of that product. So those are some of the easier questions to ask, and you can get the information right there on the law tag on that mattress.
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, as a consumer, you're not able to go into the actual factories and see, what's going in them either. So you can't go and feel and touch them. But I'd like to kind of peel back and talk a little bit about, what would it look like, if you did come to our factory, what would you see coming in our factory? I mean, the first thing I would say, and I'm just proud of it, is our culture. You're going to see a great team working together. People helping each other pick materials up, move stuff around. I don't want to say they're laughing and playing because they're very serious, but they're happy.
But
they're
happy.
Very happy, and that's just what we want. We're not about push through. You got to get this mattress out the door in this amount of time. We're about let's make it right.
That's right.
Do all the do the steps in between, which we'll talk about, the quality control, the QC, and but do it and be proud of it, and so that the consumer will be proud of it because it's made the correct way.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, again, when we go through the process of making a mattress, everyone hands the product whatever stage it's in off to the next person, and the next person starts with a great quality product as they build each component. They're also been with us 17 years is our average tenure.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're looking at. If a material changes, if a foam is not correct, if it has an odor or something like that, people talk about those things. We stop the process. We ask the questions. We look at the materials. We send the materials back to our vendors if there's an issue. Those things are done on a daily basis, and they're done by people who touch each product every single day, so they know when a product is not correct.
Yeah.
And for foams, it's a weight. Foam density is the quality control of that material. So when they pick something up, they pick it up every day, 40, 50, 100 times a day. They know what that material is like. And then all of a sudden they say, wait a minute, there's something not right about this. So we take that batch and we move it over, put it in a quarantine stage, and we get our suppliers over. Another reason why we use local vendors is because we want them to come over and, find out why this product's not correct. So if there is something that is not up to standard, then they will replace it right away. We don't have to wait for another container. We don't have to wait for a lot of things that come through customs or anything like that.
So, I mean, we've been talking a lot about foams because there's a lot of foam in mattresses, right? And you need to be wary about the foams because, again, where they come from, how they're made, are they certified, which all of ours are, which means that they are cleaner foams. They're produced cleaner, so they don't off-gas, they don't have smells, those kind of things. But those are some questions that, I would tell a friend,
That's right.
ask these questions. And then you may have to do a little research if you don't trust, who you're talking to.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I remember, just to share an example, I mean, this can happen to anybody, but, when you've been in manufacturing a long time, you have these experiences and you don't do them anymore if it was a bad thing. But I remember one time we were trying to, make a thicker mattress, a little less expensive.
and we used a fiber pad, as a comfort layer on top of a coil system. And that was, we learned from that, but it was a bad mistake because we took a lot of mattresses back because they were sagging and having terrible body impressions because that fiber pad was not. It doesn't work for on top of a mattress, and so that's a good question to ask. Again, what's in there? But that was a bad situation for us because we had to eat all those mattresses. But it was a good opportunity for us to make good and make sure the customers were taken care of. But that's just one example that I can speak of that was rough. It was hard for us because we tried something that wasn't necessarily proven.
That's right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I remember another time when, we were doing business exporting over into China. And so we built relationships, and those relationships came back from Spring Company. And we were like, okay, well, we can save a little bit of money here on these coils. And so
A lot.
it was a lot. It was worth it. It was worth it.
Until it wasn't.
And so what happened is that the first shipment came in and everything was great and off we were going. And then the next shipment came in and they had changed the radius on us of a corner. Now, you don't think that's a whole lot, but that means a lot to us because our products just didn't look right on our foundations. So now we have a corner sticking out. The product doesn't look good, doesn't represent who we are. And so, and the reason they made that change was because all their other customers wanted the other radius, and we're like, that's not good for us. So again, those are some of the experiences that we've had that you will get from people who buy from overseas, is that their quality changes. So you don't know what you're getting. Actually, you may see a floor model that seems okay, but then the product you actually get when in your home is not going to be that quality.
One thing that consumers were telling us and about a mattress. It was actually a bed in a box that they found fiberglass fibers in the top panel in the quilt on what you lay on. It was actually coming out of the quilt, and this was just a couple years ago, into their sheets. Those are just things like that are just unacceptable.
Yep.
And be wary again of especially anything from overseas in a box. Just be careful. Buy from reputable people that I like to buy local. Everything I buy, I try to buy local. Obviously, there's some things I can't buy. I can't buy my car local really because they manufacture it in another state.
Yeah.
But that way you have more opportunity to talk to somebody that cares, and that's why we put ourselves out there, David and John and David, called John and David at mattressgrove.com, because we want to hear. We want to hear if you have a concern or you want to have a question, people that buy our mattresses call us. People that, want to buy our mattresses call us.
That's right.
We're happy to talk to anybody. But that's why. That's one reason why, is we want to make sure that if somebody has a question or concern, you can talk to us. You can call us right now.
Yep. And again, if we don't know the answer, we will find somebody that does know the answer and get back to you on it. So yeah, that's why we're here. We want to share our knowledge and our expertise and our network with you, so that you can figure out how to get a great night's sleep, how to get a mattress that performs well for you, and the quality that you're looking for. Buy with confidence. And I mean, it's interesting. You had just gotten a phone call not too long ago. As a matter of fact, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
About a mattress and what they were experiencing was not pleasant.
Yeah. Exactly. We got a direct DM came right in, and they were asking about how. How are mattresses and allergies, what can they buy that's allergy free or that's, doesn't cause issues? And, what I would say is that, our mattresses are the most allergy free available. I mean, all of our foams that we use are CertaPure certified. Again, that eliminates all formaldehydes, any kind of, chemicals that will stay in the foam. because once the foam gets poured and it rises and they cut it and everything, they let it cure and they wash it, so it doesn't have any kind of chemicals. And again, that CertaPure certification, you can go to CertaPure.us and you can find who is and who isn't certified. We use Future Foam as our foam supply company. We're right here in North Carolina,
absolutely,
in High Point, right down the road. Again, like David said, if we have any issues, they come here. They'll be here in an hour, 2 hours. It's a beautiful thing. But anyway, going back to that, allergies are unique because they're unique to each individual. So you never know really what you might be allergic to. But like I said, all of our components are allergy free. The foams again are soy based. They're plant based. So you won't have any issues there. So. We really focus on making sure that people get a better night's sleep, and not have to worry about whether they're going to be itching or breathing or coughing and sneezing.
Yeah, because people's mattresses, sometimes they have a new smell. That it happens.
Like a new car?
Like a new car. Like a new car. But, and again, sometimes that smells strong. Sometimes it's not. Again, sensitivity is a factor. I know there are certain smells that affect me much greater than others. And, a bakery. I love the smell of a bakery.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I can do that all day long. But if I walk through a department store and I go through that perfume section where people have been spraying tons of perfume,
it's not like a bakery?
It's not quite like the bakery. So, again, I think that those are some of the factors that come into play with a mattress as well. It's in your room. It's in where your sleep area is. So that's a piece where we all kind of have to understand what's going on. It's a new smell, air out your room, stuff like that. If it's if it's too strong, if it's call us and let's talk about those things. There's always a cure for it.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing that I get this all the time. Again, at the retail, for consumers, should I buy a more expensive mattress, or what's the difference? Again, you talked about the Mercedes piece. One thing that I will tell everybody is don't buy the cheapest mattress, and you should probably buy the most expensive mattress that you can buy, that you like and it feels good, because if you buy that cheapest mattress, I promise you it will be the most expensive mattress that you ever purchased. Why? Because that will only last you a year or two, maybe 3 if you're lucky, and then you're going to replace it in 3 years, and then you're going to replace it in 3 years. Yep. You're going to replace it in 3 years, and by the time you do all that, it's going to be the most expensive mattress that you ever buy. So that's that's some advice that I would say. And I think people today are a lot more educated. We're all educated. We're learning more about sleep. I'm learning more about sleep.
That's right.
Every day. So don't skimp on your mattress, because all the other things you do throughout the day may be foiled if you have a bad mattress, or a mattress that doesn't give you good support. Right. Again, if you don't look forward to getting in that mattress every night, whether it's at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever time you get in that mattress, and you just want to snuggle, because that's how I'm every night. I just want to get in that mattress and snuggle up in my mattress and my pillow, and I'm ready to go to sleep. So if you don't have that, look for a new mattress and a pillow.
Absolutely, yeah. Because again, when we're looking for good sleep, we're looking for supportive sleep too. It's not just comfortable. A sofa's comfortable, but not to sleep on. So you really need to take time. How long does it take? For you to get adjusted to a mattress, it takes you about 30 days to really actually get adjusted to a mattress. The support's a little different. It's kind of like your body, your muscles have to relax. They've been, with an old mattress, your body's kind of cradled in that mattress, and so when you lay down, your back lets go, your muscles are loose. So when you get on a new mattress and you're laying there and it's supportive, then now your body has to adjust a little bit to that new mattress. So give it a little bit of time, and you'll see. But you'll see right away off the feel of the mattress and the support of a mattress that you're getting good night's sleep. Your body's supported, but the adjustments take about 30 days.
Yeah, it definitely does. Definitely, your muscles actually get to release or relax, right? Well, I mean, once because they're not trying to hold you up because the mattress is holding you up.
Right.
Your support. So yeah, and that's it's a good, very very good point. Very good point. Give it a little bit of time. I mean, I don't have a problem adjusting, but I pretty much stay in the same comfort level. But if you do change those comfort levels a little bit, you could get that. Or if you're on like David said, like you're in an older mattress where it's a hammock or it's just not giving you good support, and then all of a sudden you get good support. But I don't have that problem too much. I mean, I'm not saying that's great, but it's kind of like I'm in the business. I shouldn't have that problem.
Yep.
But now I will say if I go on a vacation. No question. 3 or 4 or 5 days. I mean, I can get used to a new mattress, but usually they're a little firmer than what I have, and so it takes a little time to adjust.
Yeah, and one of the things that brands don't want you to know, you can ask the question, you can look around, how much money is put into advertising? Because what that means is that they're taking away from the quality of that mattress and the components of the mattress. Kind of take a little, what do they like to say, put their hand in and take out something.
Absolutely.
So and so those are things to really look out for as well. Advertising costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it definitely does. And a bed in a box, anything shipped to you right to your doorstep, it has 40-50% of the actual cost of that mattress is in advertising. So you can do the math. If you pay $1,000 for a bed in a box, 500 of that's advertising to get the clicks, to get you to see that mattress. So do you want to buy a mattress for $1,000 where you have $500 in advertising and $500 in product, or would you rather have $1,000 all in the product?
Right, exactly.
You make the decision.
Yep. And a mattress that's made for sleep, not for shipping.
Thanks a lot for hanging with us today on this episode of Behind the Scenes. Our goal was not to trash anybody. We just want to give you guys the ideas to ask, the questions, the thought, just to make everybody, be more aware when you are shopping for a mattress.
If you want to support what we're doing here, if you want a new mattress, need a new mattress, hey, shop us at mattressgrove.com. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Right here on the Healthy Sleep Podcast. Pow!